What do you think?
I think we're dead meat. Real dead meat.
You're dead meat! Go ahead and laugh, you guys. If I ever find a little bastards that did this, they're dead meat.
Hey everybody, I have a big ol' Q&A video for you ahead, but before I get to it, I just want to let you know two things. First off, this Sunday, January 31st, I'm doing another Doom live stream. I had such a good time playing Doom episodes 1 through 3 a couple of weeks ago that I want to play episode 4.
Thy flesh consumed.
Once again, it's going to be happening here on this YouTube channel, so if you want to watch, tune in at noon Pacific or 3 p.m. Eastern. Other time zones, whenever. Secondly, if you didn't notice the runtime of this video, it's over an hour. That meant an hour and a half of me shooting and a whole lot of hours of my editor's editing. To help pay for all those hours of editing, I actually got a sponsorship for this video from Venus Complete. Venus Complete is a real small home-based business that makes candles, lip balms, and greeting cards. Relevant to my content, they have a bunch of horror-themed stuff that involves cute little images of all your favorite villains. Look at that little leather face, he's so cute. Their handmade candles are made with 100% natural soy wax and come in 3.5 and 9 ounce sizes. And they just smell so damn good! You can get all sorts of scents with all sorts of labels, so they're also a really good gift for almost any occasion. Check out their shop at etsy.com/shop/VenusComplete and follow them on social media at Venus Complete. Thanks again to Venus Complete for sponsoring this Q&A because again, Bree and Josh did such good work editing this. Josh especially went fucking ham putting in all these images and you'll see in a second, it's great. Without further ado, here's an hour-long Q&A. Hope you like my voice. Hey everybody, welcome to another Q&A video, this time for 2021. In my kind of schedule announcement video earlier this year, I asked you to comment with questions for me to answer. A whole bunch of you did, so now I'm gonna try to answer as many as I can. Let's do it! Here's a question from Natalia Rose. Would I ever give my blessing for others to do a similar video format, like kill counts for other genres? Yeah, absolutely, of course. I have no exclusive right to the concept of kill counts. Plenty of people were doing kill counts long before I ever got on YouTube. And for instance, Natalia mentions a movie like John Wick where it's not really my brand, she says, and that's totally accurate. I'm not gonna do kill counts on movies that are very clearly not horror. Don't bother bringing up Predator or Jurassic Park or The Purge or whatever. Those are movies that I consider at least horror adjacent. If it comes to like straight action or drama or crime or superhero movies, I'm not gonna cover them. So anyone out there who wants to do a kill count for the Marvel movies, have at it, man. I definitely don't know anything about Marvel movies, so I'm not gonna sit there and bullshit you for 25 minutes about movies that mean a lot more to a lot more other people. And that also means that if you ever see other people making and uploading kill count videos, don't go into the comments and be like, oh, dead meat ripoff. I really don't appreciate seeing that. I feel like it makes me look bad or like I'm sicking people on other videos. Don't do that, man. Everyone's free to make whatever kind of video they want. They can't steal the thing that makes the kill count, in my opinion, because it's me. Oscar D asks if there's ever been a horror movie I picked up just because of how good the box art was. I mean, this kind of harkens back to the days of video rental stores, Blockbuster, my local place called Video Castle, and I would spend hours at those places perusing the horror aisles and looking at all the boxes. The ones that really stood out to me were the lenticular box art ones. Those are the ones where as you walk by it, it changes the image. The two I have in mind are Uncle Sam and Jack Frost. They changed from a normal-looking Uncle Sam or Snowman to a murderous-looking Uncle Sam or Snowman. I also always really liked the Evil Dead 2 box art. Real simple, just a skeleton being like, hey. Oh, if so, did it live up to my expectations? Jack Frost? No. The box art's cooler than that movie.
Blow me.
Awesome Ethan asks why it took me so long to bring back the cut comparisons, and that's a good question, Ethan. I know a lot of people have been asking for more cut comparisons ever since I released the first ones in, was it October of 2018? Here's the thing, the reason that sometimes I'll make a video and then it kind of disappears for a while and you just get kill counts in the meantime, I'm thinking of What's Your Favorite Scary Movie, for instance, is because kill counts are very clearly the most popular series on the channel. I make a kill count and I can always rely on it getting 1 million views, except for Basket Case 3, which you can go ahead and try to fix that if you want to. Other videos, while they do well, like no complaints here, they just don't do as well as kill counts. It can sometimes feel like a what's the point when I make a video knowing that it's just not going to do as well as a kill count. The other thing is that kill counts take a ton of work, so that's kind of always what I'm focused on doing. What's the next thing I can do to make the next kill count? And then that feeds into itself. Because I'm always working on kill counts, that becomes the easiest and most comfortable thing for me to do. So it's way easier for me from like an emotional energy standpoint to just do the next step in a kill count than to kind of reframe my brain and think about, okay, now I got to write a cut comparison script that's different from a kill count, so I kind of have to recalibrate and spend a different amount of energy doing that thing. I'm really going to try to break out of that for 2021 and just do different things that aren't kill counts. I think I said I wanted to do that in 2020, but I mean, that pandemic just messed everything up, man. Too Many Cooks asks, what's my favorite dinosaur? So I really love the Velociraptors in the Jurassic Park / Jurassic World series. I mean, you can find me in an early drunk Disney saying that they're small, but kind of strong for their size, and they're smart, so I can relate to them. But I am also aware that those Velociraptors aren't really Velociraptors. They're actually, I don't think I can pronounce this correctly, Deinonychuses? Deinonychi? So I guess Deinonychus is my favorite dinosaur. Although I will say Stegosaurus, pretty fucking cool. Because it's like a dinosaur where they're like, what do you want to put on this dinosaur? I don't know, armor plates? Sure. A spiky tail? Yeah, let's do that too. It's like a little tank walking around, swinging its spiky tail and eating on grass. I like that. I like you, Stegosaurus. Diva Alferman asks, what kind of food do I like? The easier way to answer that question is what kind of food don't I like, which is mostly sweets. I'm just not a sweets guy. I've never really liked, especially chocolate, just doesn't really do anything for me. I do kind of like the fruit-flavored candies like Skittles and Starburst, but I can easily avoid them.
I'm a little lad who loves berries and cream.
And that pertains to Diva's second part of her question, do I work out? I started working out senior year of high school and took it seriously pretty much immediately, continued it through college, and ever since graduating 10 years ago now. Boy, that sucks to say. But when I started doing that, I started to focus on my food intake, and I really started to think of food as fuel. But basically, savory foods are what I'm into. I am a meat eater, which I try to wean myself off of, especially the red meat, just because I know it's not as good for you. But like my favorite meal is a good steak, like a good filet, cooked medium rare. As far as the specific workout regimen, you know, I go in and out of regimens. I've done a bunch of Beachbody programs. I did all 90 days of P90X and then P90X2 and then P90X3. I've done 21-day fitness a few days. So I've done some Beachbody routines, and that includes the time that I was actually part of a test group for the Masters Hammer and Chisel program. With that, I did 2 rounds of the 60-day program. So that was 120 days, 4 months of just nonstop working out 6 days a week, eating the food that they gave me. Best shape of my life back when I was 26. Really wish I could get back into that shape, but it is so hard to do it and not be a robot. 2019, I got real into Orange Theory and did that for the whole year and was going to continue it in 2020 until those all shut down because of coronavirus. And then we moved into our new house, and the first thing I did was pay to have part of my garage converted into a gym. Like a really good gym with like the floor matting and the walls of mirrors, and I really love it. I also got myself a water rower, the exact same model that they use in Orange Theory, and so I use that. I work out every day in that gym because it's so wonderful. And right now I'm just kind of doing my own thing. I'll do like chest, shoulder, tris one day, and then core the next, and then back and bis, and then core, and then legs, and then core, and then like a yoga for the 7th day, and that's my week. Dylan Webb asks what my favorite horror movie weapon is, and that's a fun question. I mean, you know, you got the classic finger knives from Freddy Krueger. I feel like that's pretty hard to beat, but just to give 3 options that also are up there in their badassery. 1, the Beast from Mandy. Of course, you know I gotta mention that battle axe. That thing is so sweet, and I'm so grateful that Legion M sent me a new one after I broke the other one that I bought, because that was, you know, a bad day in my life. No! 2 more are the Sentinel balls from Phantasm. I've always thought those were cool. Flying around, sticking into your head, shooting the blood out the forehead. I think that's awesome. And then the guitar drill from Slumber Party Massacre 2. That thing is bitchin'. In a kind of related question, Austin Sear asks what's the most dangerous or expensive memorabilia I have. I do always gotta watch myself from getting poked by the Phantasm ball that's in the, what is it, the lower left corner of the cubby. movie. The points are always sticking out. Sometimes they'll catch my clothes, and that's kind of scary. And then, of course, the Freddy Krueger glove from Razor Gloves that cut me when I first opened them because they're so sharp and cool. Most expensive, kind of hard for me to remember exactly, but I know that Belial cost a pretty penny and was worth every cent. I love that guy. Doge Oof Boof asks, celebrity crush, ? I don't really have any modern or current crushes because crush feels to me like specifically a kind of young and innocent attraction to someone. So my answer to that would have to be Natalie Portman. She was Queen Amidala in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, that came out when I was 10 years old. I just thought she was the prettiest person. And then, just growing up, she continued to impress me. And she's so smart. She's so smart. And I guess that she's just always been someone who I was like, oh, Natalie Portman. Oh, wow.
I'll kill your dog for fun, so don't push me!
Which is funny because one of Chelsea's biggest celebrity crushes is Ewan McGregor, so we both got it out for those Star Wars characters.
Hello there.
NEL Productions asks what my favorite or least favorite horror movies of 2020 were. 2020 obviously did not have a ton of movies coming out because of, again, the pandemic. Don't demonetize this video, YouTube, by the way. I'm just talking about real shit, okay? And that caused a lot of the movies that I was looking forward to be postponed, like Candyman or the new Halloween movie. As far as the ones that came out go, Host was excellent. I thought it made a great use of the technique that they were going for and was done so quickly and yet so well. And I love the fact that it was close to 60 minutes long. I wish more movies would do that. Just say what you have to say and get out of there, I also really loved Invisible Man. I thought that, like I said in the kill count, it was the perfect merger of style and themes, and Elizabeth Moss is one of my favorite actresses. Least favorite, man, Antebellum. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but God, that movie just frustrated me to no end. A huge letdown. I love Janelle Monáe. She didn't do anything wrong. She was perfectly fine in it, but it was such a disappointing watch. Yeah, that movie's not good. Aiden Pete asks, what has been my favorite Halloween costume I've ever dressed up in, or a favorite Halloween memory from childhood? Sophomore year of college, I was a David Bowie, not any specific look, but just I had red boots and face paint and some Bowie-esque clothes, and that was a lot of fun. But one of my favorite childhood memories was when I was dressed as a Star Wars character. And what Star Wars character, you may ask? Were you Luke Skywalker? Were you Obi-Wan Kenobi? Were you maybe, did you have a little fun with it? Were you maybe Chewbacca? Were you a Wookiee? No, I wasn't any of those things. I was Evan Piel. The Jedi Master on the Jedi Council in Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, who kind of looks like a human Yoda with a scar across his eye. Yeah, that was me. I was him for Halloween. Why? I don't know. I thought it was fun to be an esoteric character. And my favorite picture, and maybe the only picture I have of me in that costume, is with my buddy who was dressed as a pimp. So it's Evan Piel and a pimp just hanging out. Going out on Halloween, collecting that candy. Oh, hey, speaking of Bowie, History in the Mix asks if I could give some of my top few David Bowie songs. My go-to answer for favorite David Bowie song is Rock and Roll Suicide. I just love the passion in his voice and the way it builds with just a strumming guitar and his vocals, and then it just soars into him screaming with passion and give me your hand, and it's this hopeful message. Give me your hand! That's my go-to answer for favorite. Life on Mars is fucking fantastic. Same thing, it's got a nice build to it, that beautiful piano as part of it. I think Changes also has that aspect of just, I love it so much. Fascination is really good off of Young Americans. Black Star is another epic song. That middle part has always really stuck with me. I think it's fucking cool. I don't know, man. I could talk for a long time about this, but many of them. A few people, such as Stu Creighton and John Reno, asked what my favorite kill count is that I've ever done. For me, my favorite kill counts meet a few criteria. One, the movies are not overly complicated. I hate when I have to explain the plot of a movie, whether that's because it has a lot of mysterious elements or just a lot of specific things that have to be explained for things to make sense, or just a lot of moving parts. I hate that. It bogs everything down. It just feels like I'm recapping things instead of being funny or enlightening or interesting. I cannot stand that shit. And that tends to happen more with modern movies that just tend to be more complicated than older, especially slashers. On that note, it is fun for me when a movie has a good amount of kills that are unique and interesting, again, as opposed to something like The Purge, or the Zombieland movies where it's me fucking freeze framing and counting shifting shapes in the background and wondering if those are people dying or not. That's not fun for me. I know it can be fun for you to watch, and I try to make it funny. Wait, floor-to-floor killing? Oh no! But the process of counting it itself is not fun, and when it comes to editing, oh man, one small mistake can set off just a chain reaction of corrections that I have to make in the edit, and it sucks when that happens. That happened with Zombieland, and it was a pain in the ass. So not a whole bunch of bodies, but like a fair amount that are really fun. But really, it's the older movies that are slower so that I don't have to explain too much plot. And when they're made in a ridiculous way, hopefully with a low budget, that just lends itself to me making jokes. My favorite thing in kill counts, I guess it's tied. I love to have the behind the scenes information, and I love to be funny. Those are the things that I want the kill counts to do, and when movies lend themselves well to those things, that's when I have a good time making them. The most recent and best example that I've been pointing to for a while now is Bloody Birthday. It's just got so much going on in that movie that is fun to point out and laugh about and just exclaim, what the fuck's going on here? The Silent Night, Deadly Night movies, all 5 of them are so weird in their own ways. I love the Basket Case movies, although I got pretty long-winded in the behind the scenes for those. Bloody New Year, a perfect example. There's so much to make jokes about watching that movie, and that's when I'm having the most fun making a kill count, for sure. Kind of flip side of that, Nightmare asks what the hardest video to work on last year was. Any Stranger Things episode. It's so much work. It's so much more work. I mean, a season of Stranger Things is what? Even without the intros, it's 7 hours long. Compare that to even the longest movies I've covered, like Doctor Sleep and The Shining. Those are like 2.5 hours long. So it's like 3 times the amount of content. That is not fun to try to condense. And a TV show especially will have multiple storylines going across multiple episodes and cuts back and forth to them, and yet they intertwine and intersect with the times of days. So it's not good for a kill count to be like, so these people did this, and then these people did that, and then these people were doing this, and these people were doing that. So I try to condense those storylines, but sometimes they don't make sense. Movies are much more linear and easier for the kill counting format. Stranger Things was so much work, and that's why I know that those videos have like an average amount of kill count views, but I thought Stranger Things was way more popular and would do way better with the views. And so I thought that that extra work was going to be worth it for like a video that did 2 or 3 times better than an average kill count. Instead, it did very average, and that's why I'm not going to do Stranger Things 3 until Stranger Things 4 is about to be released and the hype is back there and maybe more people are searching for it on YouTube. Francisco Alcala asks, what could I do about franchises like Hellraiser where people really only care about the first few films? That's a good question. It's a problem I run into with all franchises. It's not even the first few films that people care about. It's usually the first one, and then if there is a remake, people care about that. I think the young people on YouTube, which I don't think is a majority of my audience, but is a significant percentage, some of them tend to think that new is good and old is bad. And I can understand having that viewpoint if you are young and you yourself are new to the world. The longer a series goes on, as a general rule, the lower the views get for the videos, and then that is also compounded by how popular the series is to begin with. That's not a hard and fast rule. The Final Destination videos, I think, climbed in views as it went on, but maybe that's because that's a more recent series. Wrong Turn, that series fucking sank as it went on. As far as franchises where people only care about the first few films, like with Hellraiser, I've had a thought that maybe I can do 3 at a time. So I would do the first 3 Hellraisers week, and then let everyone know I'm going to take a break from Hellraiser and then come back and do like 4, 5, 6, probably not on Friday releases, but as extra Sunday releases, because if it were 3 weeks of just Hellraiser 4, 5, and 6, I think that would be bad for my channel algorithmically and such. So that's the thing I got to try to think of. And it's like, I know some people are like, why don't you just do the first one? I mean, I could, but I'm a completionist. I like to do things as a whole, and so it would feel weird to not do all the weird sequels that happen with a series, you know? I like to see what happens with those movies. How do you get from Pinhead as a arbiter of pleasure and pain from hell or whatever to, I don't know, he's in space in the fourth one? How does that happen? I want to explore. Related questions from R. Wood. How long would a franchise have to be for me to dismiss it as a potential kill count series? There is only one that I can think of that is simply too long for me to tackle, and that is the Amityville Horror series, which I believe is up to like 16 movies. If there were another series, it would be Children of the Corn, because I believe there are 10 or more of those. But even with Children of the Corn and Puppet Master, which has a fuck ton of sequels as well, at least with those, they are slashers, where people are dying in hopefully creative ways at regular intervals, and that is the type of movie that works best in the kill count format. Amityville Horror is more of a supernatural haunted house movie. I don't even know if enough people die, like if 2 people die in it. So Amityville Horror, cross it off, not gonna get kill counted. The others, I want to find a way. If that means the Hellraiser type thing where it's like 3 at a time, spaced out, then so be it. But yeah, like with all these long series I have left to do, Hellraiser, Puppet Master, Children of the Corn, you're not going to get 10 weeks in a row on Dead Meat where those are the only videos being released. I would not do that to my channel. It would not be good for the channel. And YouTube would punish me so much for doing that, because people would lose interest and YouTube would be like, dead channel. C. Drude has a fun question. If I had a NFL-style draft of horror characters for a night of mayhem and destruction, who would be my top 3 picks and who's the coach? So I'm gonna zero in on mayhem and destruction, okay? That screams chaos to me. So my first 2 choices are 2 fellers who can do a lot of chaos in very different ways. One is Chucky. Chucky don't give a fuck, dude. And he's a doll, so, you know, he's got that stealth aspect to him. No one's gonna suspect a doll. He can run around, get in tight places, and he will fuck everything up. He'll bring his family. It'll be a whole goddamn thing. Second will be Captain Spaulding. I think any of the Firefly gang would be great. Otis, too rapey. Don't want to bring him along. Baby, you know, fine, but the laugh I could do without. So Captain Spaulding, Sid Haig, he's got a fun laugh. He can be intimidating, but also funny, and we'll get some Tutti Frutti ice cream. That'll be a blast.
Tutti fucking fruity!
Now that kind of shores up the mayhem aspect of this question. And by the way, I know that these are not the biggest, most obvious choices, your Freddys and your Michaels and whatnot. I'm trying to avoid that. And that's why my number 3 pick is Brendan Breyer, the Brightburn kid. That kid can destruct everything. He's flying around, he's crashing buildings with his eyes or whatever. You might question, hey, isn't that a bit dangerous? Isn't he a good chance of him like not listening to whoever your coach is? Yeah, unless the coach is Debbie from Bloody Birthday. She has already shown an aptitude for leadership. She has directed Curtis and fucking Steven around and doing all the crimes. She's smart. She gets away in the end. Good on her. And she's a little kid, so she can probably relate to Brendan, and maybe he'll listen to her because she's also a fellow little kid, and she's also like Chucky's size, so I don't know. She can easily slip into things with the girl and her doll. There you go. And her and Captain Spaulding and Debbie, I want to see that shit. That would be so fucked up. Those 2 out on the town together just murdering people. Holy shit. Yeah, that's my team. Come at me. Perry the inaction figure asks, what would Pennywise take the form of for me? Meaning, what would Pennywise appear as to make me most scared? I'm just gonna go with some childhood fears here, because he can't appear as the specter of failure or death. So I'm going to go ahead and say he would be a giant centipede covered in cotton balls. I don't like centipedes, My bedroom was in the basement in high school, and not a nice one. There were centipedes. I don't like to think about them. Cotton balls, I hate the feel of them. I touch them, even thinking about touching them, I don't like it. I can't stand it. Cornstarch does the same thing to me. If I'm ever cooking with cornstarch, and I have to have Chelsea do it. Packed snow on the ground. If you step on it, gives me the same thing. It's kind of like a nails on chalkboard type feel. That's what all this stuff does. But for some reason, I feel it down my spine right now thinking about it. Cotton balls, just picking them apart. It's awful. I hate it. Fuck off, Pennywise. Jacob Hinman asks, are there any movies that I consider perfect? Pee-wee's Big Adventure is a perfect movie. It is absolutely perfect in what it wants to be and at being it. It is so funny. There's not a wasted line or action or movement from Paul Rubens that is not hilarious. All the side characters and the gags are wonderful. Pee-wee's Big Adventure is a perfect movie. Penguin Animations asks the most important question. Pie or cake? Well, I already told you that I don't like sweets. Although, cake, one of the better sweets. I'll take a good piece of cake, a little cupcake. That's a great portion right there. Pies, they can be way too sweet. Fruit pies, no thank you.
What are you going to do with those pies, boys?
The texture, I don't like. I don't want that pie. I don't want that fruit pie. Pot pie, on the other hand. Every time. Give me a little chicken pot pie, a little turkey pot pie, fill that boy with some veggies, some gravy. Yeah, buddy. That's what I'm talking about. Don't get that banquet shit, though. That banquet shit is garbage. Go for the Marie Calendar. Those are big. Those are meaty. Those will cover you. God, I just want to hang out with Brutal Moose and talk about these frozen foods. I know that he has sampled all of them, and I know that he does not like Banquet because he is a man of taste. Memulus Wheelus asks thoughts on SCP stuff. I don't really know what it is. I know people were talking about Cabin in the Woods being kind of like SCP containment unit. I don't know what it is. Is it an anime? Is it a manga? Manga? Is it a comic? Is it a TV show? Is it a Vine? Is it a Quibi?
A what? A Quibi.
Remember Quibi? Mr. Monster asks, have I ever had a shaved head? I have. When I graduated college, again, 10 years ago, I went on a 2-week camping trip by myself across the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and northern Wisconsin and northern Minnesota and on Isle Royal in Lake Superior, the only national park that is entirely an island. And before I went on that trip, I had a big-ass party, and we shaved my head, and I look like Dr. Venture. So I'm hoping that I can keep this hair on top of my head so that I don't have to look like Dr. Venture. Bat Boy asks, shoelaces or Velcro? Which is an interesting question because, obviously shoelaces, right? Obviously. Except for high school James, who had a strange way of dressing himself. Every single day of high school, I would go to school in jeans, Velcro shoes, and a black graphic t-shirt with some kind of nerdy joke on it. Whether it was just a motherboard or a Revenge of the Nerd shirt, or it said RTFM on it, or a Penny Arcade shirt. That's all I wore. Black t-shirt, jeans, Velcro shoes. I was super cool. Let's stick with high school for a minute, much to my chagrin. Wyatt Nunn says that I've mentioned my musical history, but what extracurricular activities, I can't say that word for some reason tonight, did I participate in during high school? Marching band, one of the music ones, that took up all my time in the fall and winter. Any sports? No. Probably should have. Help myself develop physically a little better. But instead, I was doing stuff like film club, watching movies, quiz bowl, where I believe we went to, I don't know if we went to states. We definitely went to a regional thing, maybe? I was the American history guy, so that was my forte. Got some nerdy pictures of that. Drama. So, theater, I was the Phantom in a really bad musical Phantom of the Opera parody, and then I was Danny Zuko in Grease and Ebenezer Scrooge in A Christmas Carol. I was usually the lead, and then they did Wizard of Oz my final semester in high school, and my pretentious asshole high school self said that because there wasn't a male lead that I wasn't interested in performing in that play. Wow, I sucked. Circling around the same topic, Lyndon Wilson asks, how is the drumming going? I have been learning drumming for almost a year now, although I did, prior to that tried to teach myself drumming on a kit in 2012 before I moved to Los Angeles, and had learned how to do limb separation and just rhythmic just by playing rock bands starting in college, so in 2007. And then 2020 actually take up lessons with an instructor to learn the basics. And then I purchased a electric drum kit, and I've been drumming pretty consistently over the past year. Took a few months off when I moved just because it got tied up in the move. But yeah, now I drum at least a half hour every day. It's going pretty well. I still think my stick handling is kind of bad, but I love playing it. It's a lot of fun. I'm starting to learn more about rolls and shit, which is really cool. Still can't flip a drumstick. I won't feel like I'm a drummer until I can. So maybe during year 2, I can do that. Oh, and Lyndon asks, what kind of bear is best? All bears are good. Dragon Hunter, along the same lines, asks, what instruments do I play? So like I said, I'm learning drums now. In middle school, I joined band, and I actually wanted to join as a drummer, but so many people wanted to join as drummers that they had tryouts to join as drummers. And so the kids whose families could afford private drum lessons had a leg up there with their drumming knowledge and became the drummers, whereas little old me, who couldn't do that, instead took up the saxophone. So I started on alto, switched real fast, like after a year or two, to baritone sax, and that's what I played in jazz, symphonic, and marching band for 4 years. I currently own a tenor sax, and I did purchase a baritone sax. I took ukulele lessons in 2019 to better get into my character of a bard in D&D, Flack Tansen, and so I can play a few chords on the ukulele.
And if I so desire, I'll count kills until I die. Yeah!
And I think that's it. I love music. I wish that I could play more instruments. Stringed instruments are very difficult to me. I would be surprised if I went my whole life without ever taking piano lessons, because I want to give that a shot too, even though coming at it later in life might be difficult, but yeah, might as well try. Isaac Day Alencar asks, do I like cheese? Yeah. Just none of that American craft shit. Get that out of here. That ain't cheese. Jeffrey Heffrey asks, did I ever watch the original R.L. Stine Goosebumps show? I did read the books. I don't really remember any solid opinions about them. I didn't really watch the show. I remember there was one about a mask. That might have been like the pilot episode that I watched, but I was a Are You Afraid of the Dark kid. That was my jam. That one in the pool, it was creepy. It's good stuff. Travis Hollandukov asks if there's a scary moment from a non-horror movie that stuck with me as a kid. We actually have a whole podcast episode devoted to exactly that type of thing. It was childhood horrors, and there's probably a link somewhere up on the screen and in the video description. As for me, I know that witches scared me, but that's, kind of horror. It was intentionally scary. For me, I burst into tears at the weird shit, like when people were being mean to each other. There's this movie called Now and Then, where at one point, the girls steal the clothes from boys who are skinny dipping and run away with them, and that traumatized me. I don't know, maybe I had some hang-ups going on around then when I was real young about being naked or something, but those girls stole those kids' clothes and ran away with them, and I cried a lot at the perceived humiliation that those boys must have been going through. So I that didn't really scare me, it just made me sad and cried. Sunshine Superman asks, will I ever show a annotated version of a script from a kill count or a notebook from one of the Dead Meat podcasts? That's interesting. You know what? Maybe scans of my notebook notes for Dead Meat podcast movies could be like a simple Patreon reward for $1 and up. Just like a little thing for people to have if they're already supporting on Patreon. As far as the scripts go, I think I've shared them before. I probably can share them. I have no qualms with that. I don't think there's anything that would be sensitive information. It's all the words that you're seeing on screen, so I wouldn't have a problem posting those publicly in a shared folder or something. I'm a data guy. I'm an information guy. I want the most amount of people to have the most amount of information available that's possible, so I don't mind sharing all those scripts. Miles Teig asks, what other things I do in my spare time? So I've already mentioned I drum every day. I mentioned I work out every day. I love doing those. I read every day. I try to read every day in bed at night. night. I try to alternate between fiction and nonfiction. I just read a Joan Didion book because it was referenced in You, which I was watching real casually, and it was a real quick read. And now I'm just about to finish up, probably tonight actually, The Poison City, which is a book about the Flint water crisis. Before that, I read The Men Who Love War, which was about the Spanish-American War. I always do a few Stephen King every year. Actually, Corey Michael asks, what Stephen King novels would I recommend reading / what are my favorite ones? There are plenty that I have not read, and I think it's important to note that I haven't read It or The Stand or any of the Dark Tower series, which are sometimes regarded as his best works. I also haven't read Misery. So those 4 I feel are often in the upper echelon of the rankings of Stephen King stories. So just because I'm not citing them as my favorites doesn't mean I don't think they're good. I just haven't gotten around to reading them. My favorite experiences reading Stephen King novels have been Pet Sematary, which is devastating. It's one of his many books that really delves in to death and what it means to die and what that means for the person experiencing death and the people they leave behind, and that is something that really hits me hard. So Pet Sematary, I just think is really well written. It's excruciating, and it has one of the best written scenes from King I've ever read. It's when he's digging up his son in the cemetery. Holy shit, that scene rips. I think Salem's Lot is one of the scariest ones that I've read. I really enjoyed that. Carrie, I think, is pretty good, and if you want a real quick and easy Stephen King, I would recommend it. And then I haven't read it since I was young, but The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon, I remember really enjoying that. And that's less horror. It's more about just a girl who gets lost in the woods. But I remember that one really clicking with me when I was in like high school. So maybe I'll give that another read and see how I like it nowadays. Oh, The Shining is also awesome. And then Dr. Sleep is good, but I wouldn't put it with those other ones. I think the movie's better. The Dominator, I'm assuming their name is Nate, asks, do I have any tattoos? If not, would I ever get one? What would it be? I don't have any tattoos. If I were to get one, I would either get a Bowie tattoo, but like a real simple one, like maybe just, I always thought like his hairline, the Ziggy hairline and the lightning bolt, and just that, like not the face or anything. And it'd be small, or actually, because even Bowie, has issues, so I might not want that as a tattoo. But if I were to get something, it would have to be something that I know I would believe in for my entire life. So there's a icon called the Happy Human. It's a real simple little figure of a guy with his arms outstretched, and he's the symbol for humanism, and that is my belief system. And it, I think, will be just a belief in making things the best they can be for all people, using science and information and caring about their humanity, and making sure that we base our beliefs on reality and data that works, and just respecting other people. So, that's been my belief system since I've been old enough to form my own belief system, and I wouldn't mind a little happy human somewhere on me, just to symbolize that. And I think it's a cute little symbol. Chelsea has a tattoo. She has on her upper back, so she never sees it. I see it all the time. Is a cool stylized form of Elsa's crown from Frozen, and then her sister has Anna's brooch on her arm, so I think that's really cool. A bunch of people like Christian Alcaraz, Boop Doop, and CB Raven asked for my thoughts on anime horror. Here's the thing, man, I try to like as many things as possible. Anime, I just don't like it. I could probably give it a better attempt at liking it and actually, watch some stuff, but I don't want to. I don't know. I just don't like the style. There's a lot of tropes within it that I'm not a big fan of, the fan servicey stuff. I liked Cowboy Bebop, mostly because of the music. I liked Dragon Ball Z because it's basically pro wrestling, but those were the only ones I ever watched. And I know that there are good animes out there. I mean, I'll never say no to watching a Miyazaki movie because those are just really well-made movies. But as far as like anime series go, I don't know. Beth and Mike, two of my absolute best friends, they are into a lot of animes and are always recommending them. I'm sorry to disappoint them. It just feels like it's a whole nother world that is so big and I know so little about, and it just already doesn't really appeal to me. So it's not my thing. I'm sorry. Matt A1018 says, sorry this is a bit vague, but I've heard some mentions of Mad Men in the kill counts, which they just finished and genuinely consider a masterpiece. They were wondering if I have a favorite non-horror TV show or a number of favorites I would recommend. Mad Men. I think Mad Men and The Wire are the best shows ever made, or at least that I've seen. I haven't seen The Sopranos, which Chelsea loves and would definitely put up there. I really love Mad Men in terms of characters. I love watching those characters evolve over a decade, and it's just the best written characters and situations, and it's so fucking funny. It's the driest humor, but it's so fucking funny.
How are you? Not great, Bob.
And The Wire is not so much plot or characters as it is kind of a dissertation on society and structures within society, organizations within society. And I think that it's incredible. I love that it doesn't hold your hand on introducing new characters. You really see an evolution of what happens in their lives and how different people's decisions affect others, and how the structure of different organizations affect the ability of certain people to do things. So I think those two are the best live action shows I've ever seen. And then Venture Brothers, I will always say, is my favorite show, like tied with those, I guess, just because again it's watching characters grow throughout a long period of time. Even though it's a cartoon, those characters are real and experience real growth and pain and suffering and love and joy. And it's also super funny, also doesn't hold your hand as far as reminding you of what you need to know for things to be fully satisfying, and the amount of references it makes to such a wide range of different things. It's fantastic, man. I can't recommend it enough. Jacob Ferris asks, am I going to upload pictures and footage of the wedding to the channel? No. I mean, if you haven't noticed, Chelsea and I don't like to divulge too much of our personal lives into the channel. That's not really what we're here for. We're here to talk about horror movies. You know, our personal Twitters will get more political and stuff like that. But as far as our like private relationship goes and our relationship with our friends goes, we don't feel the need or want to share all that stuff publicly. You'll never get a house tour. I don't want you guys having a layout of my house. I'm sorry. That's just, it's creepy. I've had fans call me before and I don't like that. Never fucking do that ever. It's highly inappropriate and it makes us fearful. We don't like it. You make us uneasy when you do that, which has happened a few times. Please don't do that. And so that's one of the things that leads to us being more private. But also, some people are really good at social media with Instagram stories or Snapchat or whatever. You know, they're able to do things and also document it and share it. Chelsea and I aren't. When we do things, we just do them and we experience them in the moment. We're not good at capturing stuff for the gram. You know, we've done a lot of really cool stuff due to the channel, and we've only ever shared the required minimum that we've had to on social media, as far as like, oh, Warner Brothers sent us to the Stanley Hotel. Here are some pictures to fulfill the social media obligation part of that trip. But like, we're not good at it because we're too busy doing the thing to share it. The wedding, which will be the most important day of our lives and a day all about us, there will be pictures and footage because we will be hiring people to capture those memories for us, but those are for us and our family and friends. I'll upload some pictures to Instagram, of course. Might as well share that joy, but don't expect anything, especially on the channel. That doesn't make sense. It's a horror movie channel. Still on the topic of the wedding, Jaden Christopher says that with all the mess of 2020 and 2021, it'd be nice for me to get some wholesome questions. So what am I most excited about the wedding with Chelsea? You know, it's just gonna be our day. I'm excited to have a party celebrating us and our relationship and our love, and to see all the people in our lives come together to do that at a beautiful place with my beautiful bride. I just wanna dance and cheer and hug people and smile, and you know, I'd really like to do that soon. So please fucking wear your masks and fucking don't go to parties. Come on, knock it off, please let me get married. And last wedding question, Ken Adams says, besides COVID, what's been the hardest part about planning the wedding, and are they right to assume it's not horror themed? No, it is not horror themed whatsoever. There will not be any horror aspects to it, although we will have an interesting person marrying us. It'll be Heather Anderson, also known as Heather Langenkamp, aka Nancy Thompson from Nightmare on Elm Street. She's a friend of ours and she's going to be the one to join us in holy matrimony. So wait, is it holy? We're not doing it in a church under any kind of religion, so I guess just legal matrimony is what it's gonna be. But she'll be doing that, and that's about it. That's the only touch that we'll have for horror stuff. Horror is our job. We love it. We absolutely love it, but it's not our lifestyle, you know. We do other stuff. And besides COVID, what's been the hardest part about planning the wedding? The guest list. We are very fortunate to know a large number of people and to have a lot of loved ones in our lives, but just due to, you know, financial and spatial limitations, we can't have everyone, so it's been very difficult trying to decide who to invite and who not to, because if it were up to us, we would probably have like a 500-person wedding and just invite everyone who we've talked to in the past 10 years to come and join us for a celebration, but we can't. So making those decisions has definitely been the most difficult part for me. A whole crap load of you asked about Create-A-Killer. So many people. Some girl called Cat, Music, Broken Heart, Tears, Burr Knight, Peanut Powers, Luke Gilbert, Socially Awkward Potatoes. So many people asked about the Create-A-Killer series. Yeah, we launched those 2 pilot episodes last year, right before the pandemic happened. And with that series, you know, what's your favorite scary movie? I'm fine doing through webcams and video chats, but with Create-A-Killer, it is a show that I want to be in person with the interviewee and really go back and forth, because it's a collaborative experience coming up with the fun, unique killer and the way that their movie would go. And, you know, things are just less natural when you're talking over Zoom. There's the awkward breaks and there's the like talking over each other and the latency. So that series will return when it is safe to do so. I'm not interested in cutting any corners or taking any chances, not with Chelsea being asthmatic and thus high risk. So that'll come back when it's able to. We're very excited to do it. We know that you are very excited to see it, and it'll happen when it can happen. Austin Kernis asks, do I think Adam Sandler is capable of playing a slasher in a horror movie? Fuck yeah! Bring the Sandman to town. Run loose. Vince Vaughn did it in Freaky, and he was great. Granted, he has the stature, that 6'5" behemoth of a man, whereas Adam Sandler, I believe, is more my size. I think he's 5'10". But Sandman can do it. He can get creepy, and he can fucking act, man. Go watch Uncut Gems. Go watch Spanglish or Punch Drunk Love. They're great. So give him a good script, make him creepy. Direct that boy, please. I'll be front row. Raider Rowan asks, what was the best year for my channel in terms of views, subscribers, etc.? You know, I actually looked into the analytics to answer this question, because my initial assumption was that 2018 was best for subscriber growth, 2019 was best for views, and 2020 was best for revenue. I don't know why. Don't ask me, but for some reason the ad rates shot up in 2020 and bought a house. But thank you, by the way, all of you. But I actually looked it up, and 2019 had the most subscribers and views, but it was basically tied with 2018 for subscribers, and then 2020 went down a tiny bit. It was also tied with 2020 for views, and those were both higher than 2018. So it's interesting. I think I put more videos out, more kill counts out in 2019 and 2020 than I did in 2018, although 2018 had some bigger series. But I don't know, man, the videos are so much better now. Anything made before November 2018 is just not the same kind of kill count for me. Ben Keen asks, what are some of the best modern horror actors? Lots of answers out there, but the 2 that jump to my mind are Samara Weaving and Anya Taylor-Joy. Both of them have just been exquisite in the stuff that they've been in. Samara Weaving tends to be the best part of whatever she's in, whether it's good like Ready or Not, or a movie that I don't like The Babysitter. She is the best part of it always. And Anya Taylor-Joy always seems to pick great projects, I say, as I remember The New Mutants. But she's in great stuff, and she's fantastic, and it looks like she's getting a lot more popular now thanks to The Queen's Gambit, and maybe because of New Mutants, but I hope she doesn't leave the horror genre. I hope both of them stick with it, because we love them. Please stick with us. We love you. Here's a question near and dear to me. Harry Flynn and Vicade and others have asked how I feel about WWE splitting up the IIconics, especially so soon after I had them on together for What's Your Favorite Scary Movie. It fucking sucks, and I'm completely serious about that. I know that they worked with me to get me the talent for What's Your Favorite Scary Movie. They didn't pay me anything. I didn't ask for any payment. I just wanted to chat with those people. You know, there wasn't really a contract. It was just a friendly agreement where they helped me get in contact with all these wrestlers, and that was really great of them because I love the individual wrestlers, but the company itself has a lot of work that it needs to do. I, in fact, stopped watching regularly because of many things, such as splitting up the IIconics, such as firing Zelina Vega for being one of many wrestlers who wanted to have an additional source of income since they are not actual employees of WWE with healthcare, such as the fucking storyline they had going with Buddy Murphy and a romantic angle with Rey Mysterio's 19-year-old daughter, whatever the fuck that was. Yeah, it's really disappointing to have so many people who I love so much, the individual wrestlers themselves, be stuck in a creatively bankrupt and in some cases morally bankrupt company. Very frustrating. So I've stopped watching Raw completely. I stopped watching SmackDown for a while, but then Roman Reigns is so good as a heel and Shinsuke might be getting a push. So, I'll check in with SmackDown and I'll still do the pay-per-views for now just because I like to keep up with what the wrestlers themselves are doing. But yeah, it's a very frustrating situation. The IIconics, funniest fucking wrestlers on the roster, and they split them up ostensibly to push Peyton as a singles wrestler, even though they stuck her in a tag team with Lacey Evans. I really feel bad for Peyton. Like I said, I don't watch Raw, so I don't know exactly what's going on there, but at least Billy seems to be making the most of her situation. Billy Kay is the funniest fucking person in wrestling, and I'm so glad that she's been able to continue that and really make herself shine with the resume gag, and now she's like running around with the Riot Squad. So yeah, splitting up the IIconics is just kind of the straw that, firing Zelina was really the straw that broke the camel's back, but breaking up the IIconics was the piece of straw right before that one, and it fucking sucks. I hate it. Colleen Gaw asks, are there any movies I've initially said I would never cover on the kill count that I've come around to? Not like films made by still living abusers. Fuck you, Victor Salva. Roman Polanski, I'll cover your movies when you're dead. I mean that. But films originally thought to be logistically tricky counting-wise that are more or less possible. Cabin in the Woods was originally a movie where I was like, I can't do it because of the ending. But that was before The Purge. The Purge really taught me patience in body counting and opened the doors for a lot more. I will say that the one in mind right now that I said was impossible was The Collection, but the creator mentioned on Twitter an actual number for the people killed in the club scene. So Collector and Collection are back on the table, which is great because the third one's going to be coming out relatively soon, so I can time that well. Anyone want to contact the Ghost Ship guys and see if they can figure out how many people died in that swimming pool? That's all I need now. Let me know. Carly Todd asks what my favorite way to keep my spirits up off camera to then come on camera, because I always seem happy. So that's cool. I don't do anything specific. I don't have any specific warm-up. I do some vocal trills like just a little bit, but that's it. I just, I've been doing this for so long. I know how to present myself on camera for kill counts, and I just always think, smile, just have a good time, just have fun. And it's not hard to do because I really love this. I know that it's been 4 years now, but I still fucking love doing kill counts. I'm not tired of them. I love making them. So that's why it's easy for me to seem so cheery, is because I recognize that I am doing the thing that I love for a living and that not everyone gets to do that. And I'm very fortunate and privileged to have that job and be in that position. So that's why you won't see me complaining about my station in life. I'm good to go. Thank you, by the way, for all of you watching these videos and allowing me to live like that. Thank you so much. The Whovian with a small collection asks a question for all the Dead Meat team, not just me, because we gotta ask the crew stuff too. They want to know the hardest movie to edit into a kill count, not Stranger Things, since that's TV based. And if you were to host an episode of the kill count, what film would you want to talk about, even if it's already been done? That's a great question. I'm going to throw it to my editors. Editors?
Hi everyone, it's Editor Bree. I think a lot of the movies I edit on the kill count are hard as I edit them, but then when I'm done, I realize they weren't that hard. So a few that stick in my mind are It Chapter 2, because I think it was on the longer side, so it took me a bit longer to do. And then Zombieland, I remember because of all the kills, which weirdly enough, Zombieland 2 wasn't that hard, even though it technically had more kills. Other ones that come to mind, just because of like small moments in the films, are one of the Saw movies had a doctor-y scene and they actually did like surgical stuff. I don't like that, so that was hard for me to edit. I also don't like Society because of the shunting scene. It's all skin and gooey stuff, and I don't like looking at that, and so editing it was hard for me. I also don't like Belial. At least Belial in the first basket case. In that one, again, he looks skin and gooey and stuff, and I don't like it. The other two, he looks fake enough for me to put up with it. Second part of the question, what movie I would want to do on the kill count? I don't watch horror movies, so everything I've seen is something James has already covered. I don't think it's horror, but a lot of people think it's horror. Coraline, I could probably do a good kill count on that, but also I don't think anyone dies in Coraline. You can maybe argue that the other mother does, but I don't think so. I think the hand is still alive. I don't know if anyone else dies. Another horror movie that I've seen that James has yet to cover is Train to Busan. I liked it, and I think I can maybe do it justice on the kill count. As I was watching, I tried counting it in my head, and Jesus Christ, I lost count because I accidentally tried counting the zombies, and that was a mistake. If you thought Zombieland was bad, Train to Busan is worse. So yeah, those are my answers. Thanks for asking.
What an excellent question. I am here in my horror storage to answer it for you. Well, the hardest kill count for me to edit was Alien vs. Predator Requiem. That movie is just a black screen. There's no lighting in that film. I had to put a special filter on just to raise the levels enough to see any actual kills in there. James said someone died in the stairwell. I could not find it for the life of me, and then finally I raised it up and I'm like, oh, here it is. This guy's dead. And you know what? Not even a good movie. Not even a good movie. So bad, none of the characters have last names. That's how inconsequential they are in that film. But the second question is, what kill count would I love to host? And there's so many out there that I love that still haven't been done by the kill count. One, Dude Bro Party Massacre 3, done by my good friends over at 5 Second Films. Plug, plug, plug. And then, of course, Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. And if you have not seen that movie, watch it before any kill count happens, because it's amazing. Love it so much. Very underrated horror. But if I'm gonna pick something, I'm gonna go big. And I would like the entire franchise of Tremors. That's right, Tremors. I love the Tremors films so much that my license plate when I lived in Illinois was Graboid. Yeah. That's right. So I'm gonna take all 7 of them Tremors films, even the TV show if you wanted to. I've seen it all. I've watched it all, so I can count those kills like nobody's business. So whenever you're taking a vacation, give me a call. I'll host a little bit of a Tremors franchise kill count, and we'll all be hating ourselves by the end of it.
Hey guys, Editor Josh here. Since Stranger Things is off the table, I'd have to say the hardest kill count to work on recently would be Dr. Sleep, but mainly because it was such a long episode. So obviously, longer episodes take longer to edit, so there was a lot of hours put into that specific video. But luckily, Dr. Sleep is a good movie, so it really wasn't that bad. Some of the harder episodes to work on are movies that are just not good in my mind, specifically Babysitter Killer Queen. I did not like that movie, so to spend so many hours with it, you know, going through the footage, like grabbing clips and everything, just hearing those characters talk was not the most fun, so that one was definitely on the harder side. But every kill count has its own unique struggles, especially when working with Adobe Premiere Pro and how it just is broken. I really love Premiere Pro. But yeah, I'd have to agree with James that the weirder, you know, lesser known movies or whatever, any movie that's just like, that was bizarre, those are always fun to work on, just for that reason. And actually, some of the harder movies to do coverage for would be anything that has a whole lot of quick cuts in it, specifically Mayhem. Great movie, but holy shit. As for the second part of the question, if I was to host a kill count, I would want to do a weird movie that I haven't seen before. Videodrome comes to mind. I also haven't seen it in years, but I think Event Horizon would be a good kill count episode. Thanks for the question. Bye.
The hardest kill count for me to edit would have been Quarantine 2. It was my first kill count that I edited, so I was new to the process. Also, there weren't a lot of great shot choices to pick from for coverage in that movie, and the movie wasn't great to begin with, so overall it was a challenging kill count to cut. The hardest to the numbers bit that I edited in After Effects would have been Tales from the Hood 2. There were so many dancing Skelly Chelseas, and there was so much fire, and just there were so many elements that went into that playing it back was taxing on my computer. Exporting it took forever, and that damn snake tongue drove me nuts. I couldn't figure out how to do it well. If I were to host an episode of The Kill Count, the film that I would choose would be either Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz. I love Edgar Wright's work. I know that they might not, I mean, they're comedies first and foremost, but they're parodies of the horror genre, and there's a lot of death in both of those films. I would pick Hot Fuzz over Shaun of the Dead just because Hot Fuzz is such a good movie. Either of those would be fun to host. Thank you for the question.
Thanks, editors. I love you guys so much. And I guess I'll end this whole thing with a question from the aptly named account, I Am Fan, who asks how viewers can make my job less difficult because they know how scary this YouTube stuff can be. Thank you for the kind words and the kind question. Like I said, my life is great. I have no complaints, and it's because of you fans and you viewers and you subscribers that my life is so blessed. So we're so lucky to be in this position, and I mean that. And when I stop to think about it like I am right now, it can be overwhelming how just how nice it is to be in this position of comfort, and it can be frustrating knowing that not everyone has this this lifestyle, and I want to do what I can to make as many other people be able to have this kind of life as possible, because it's really nice and it hasn't always been this way. I didn't grow up in a family with money, and for a long time, Chelsea and I, when we were together and living out here, were in a lot of debt, and there were nights when I couldn't go to sleep because I was crying thinking about how impossible it was, or how impossible it seemed to get out of the financial strife that we were in, as recently as 2015, before I got the job at Fox and then made the channel. But we're very grateful to be in the position that we're in. And how can you make my job less difficult? You can't. It's fine. Watch the videos that you want to watch. I recommend watching the silly, stupid ones, but watch whatever ones you want to watch. If you don't want to watch any, don't. Don't feel the need to be a patron. I say this as often as I can to patrons. Take care of yourself first. I'm fine. Please don't feel obligated or guilted into supporting us. It's not like it was when the channel was starting, and it was like, if you support me on Patreon, I could make this dead meat thing successful. It's fine. We're fine. We're good. So make my job easier by tending to yourself and your needs first, because that'll just make me a happier individual if all of you out there are taking care of yourself. So do whatever that involves. If that involves watching my videos, great. I'm happy to help in any way that I can. If that involves stepping away from computers and YouTube or horror movies or whatever, then do that, man. Just do what's best for you. And I really mean that. And just thank you so much for being fans. I'm getting sleepy and emotional. I'm sorry. I've been answering questions for so long. Thank you so much for all your questions. Thank you so much for all your views. Editors, thank you so much for all your work on this and all of the other videos. Like I said, 2021, I'm really trying to have fun with the channel and do some different things and have different series with different people talking about other things that aren't just horror movie kills. So look forward to that. I am, for sure. And hopefully this year will be the year that I get married and that things get back to normal in the world. So let's all do our parts to make that happen. Yeah, I hope to meet as many of you as I can when we can do so without masks and shake hands. It'll be really nice. Thank you for watching this and for being a fan. I don't know what else to say. Be good people. Reminder that I won't have to do this marathon question answering thing from now on, because I'm going to have a regular monthly Q&A session on my channel during live streams. Those will be held the first Sunday of each month at noon Pacific time. First one will be Sunday, February 7th, which is also the day of the Super Bowl, but whatever.